Question number 171. Collection of RER in ribosomes called nasal granules are associated with. And as we can see in the structure of a neuron, nasal granules are present in the cytoplasm in the cell body, also known as cyton, and in the dendrites. And they are absent in the axon or axon terminals or synaptic knob or within the nucleus. So the correct answer to this question is option number 1, that is dendrites of neuron. On the other hand, option number 2, that is axon of neuron, is an incorrect option because axon lack nasal granules. The third option is neuroglial cells, and this is also an incorrect option because nasal granules are present in neurons and not in neuroglial cells. And the last option is Schwann cells, and this is also an incorrect option because Schwann cells lack nasal granules. So the correct answer to this question is option number 1. Let's discuss our next question. Question number 172. Factors affecting conduction of nerve impulse through a nerve fiber include all except. So we need to find out which factor doesn't affect the conduction of nerve impulse through a nerve fiber. The very first option given is temperature, and this is an incorrect option because increase in temperature leads to increase in speed of conduction of nerve impulse through nerve fiber. The next option given is diameter of unmyelinated fiber, and this is also an incorrect option because diameter of nerve fiber is directly proportional to the conduction of nerve impulse. The next option given is presence of myelin sheath, and this is also an incorrect option because myelin sheath is an effective insulator around axons, and the gap between this myelin sheath are known as nodes of Ranvier. An impulse jumps from one node to other through these nodes of Ranvier and increases the rate of conduction of nerve impulse. The last option given is threshold stimulus, and this is a correct answer to our question because threshold stimulus triggers the impulse, but it is not directly responsible for the conduction of nerve impulse through nerve fiber. So the correct answer to this question is option number 4. Let's discuss our next question. Question number 173. Select the incorrect statement. And the very first statement is sodium-potassium ATPase is an electrogenic pump that helps to maintain electrochemical ion gradient across axilla. And as it is a correct statement, so cannot be a correct answer to our question because this sodium-potassium ATPase is a transmembrane protein which maintains electrochemical ion gradient by pumping 3 sodium and 2 potassium across the axilla. The next statement given is at rest, exoplasm has lower sodium ions concentration than potassium ion concentration, and as it is a correct statement, so cannot be a correct answer to our question. At rest, the concentration gradient across the axilla is more for potassium in comparison to sodium, and because of which axilla is more permeable to potassium ions than to sodium ions. The next option given is brainstem comprises midbrain and hindbrain, and this is a correct statement, so cannot be a correct answer to our question. The next option given is thalamus part of hindbrain is responsible for emotions like anger and rage, and this is an incorrect statement, so this is a correct answer to our question because it is amygdala, which is a part of limbic system which is responsible for emotional reactions such as anger and rage. So the correct answer to this question is option number 4. Let's discuss our next question. Question number 174. 3 openings in the wall of fourth ventricle, that is a pair of ANDA, allow CSF, cerebrospinal fluid, to move to the subarachnoid space that surrounds the brain and spinal cord. Now select the option which fills the blanks A and B correctly, and the correct answer to this question is option number 2, that is foramen of Luschka and foramen of Megenty. As you can see here, diagrammatic representation, this is your fourth ventricle. On the roof you have 2 apertures for foramen of Luschka, and on this side wall you have foramen of Megenty, which is present on the wall of fourth ventricle. So the correct answer is option number 2. Let's discuss other options also. The very first option given is foramen of Monro and aqueduct of Sylvius, and this is an incorrect option. Aqueduct of Sylvius connects what? It connects the third ventricle to the fourth ventricle of brain, whereas foramen of Monro connects the lateral ventricles with the third ventricle. The next option given is foramen of Monro and foramen of Megenty, and this is also an incorrect option. And the last option is foramen of Luschka and foramen of Monro. This is also an incorrect option. So the correct answer to this question is option number 2. Let's discuss our next question. Question number 175. Broca's motor area of speech is a part of which lobe of cerebrum? As you can see in this diagrammatic representation of brain, this prefrontal cortex has this Broca's area, and this is present in frontal lobe. So the correct answer to this question is option number 1, that is frontal lobe. Let's discuss other options also. The second option is temporal. This is temporal lobe. The next option given is occipital. Here you have occipital lobe. And this is your parietal lobe, where you have different association areas like sensory association area, visual or primary auditory cortex or auditory association areas. But the motor area of speech is present in frontal lobe. So temporal, occipital and parietal lobe are incorrect options. And the correct answer to this question is option number 1. Let's discuss our next question.